7th, and we start with pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I thought you already got one, but I do.
Did anyone else need a printout of the Red Lines
If there's an
Charter?
extra, I'll take it what I don't need and I have it on the computer.
There's one, so you can fight over it.
Nope, there you go. You don't have to look on your phone.
Okay. So our first order of business is public comment, and I will open public comment at 6:32. And seeing as how there's no one from the public, I will close public comment at 6:32. And then our next order of business is the approval of the meeting minutes from September 23rd. I would accept the motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Is that Dan?
Yes. Any corrections, changes?
Just a question as to the meaning on, like, number 3, when it says, Mr. Simon proposed an amendment for discussion on the budget committee. That appears to have got mailed, so that was approved or amending the statement of goals, comment on CIP and stuff in the charter. I just didn't know if that was proposed and approved, or that was just suggested and everybody said okay, or whatever. I'm just reading the minutes and it doesn't say, am I making myself unclear?
I'm not sure that I understand the question.
It was just the wording. It says Mr. Mazzaro proposed additional language and Mr. Simon proposed 11B. It doesn't say it was accepted or voted on. Maybe we didn't have to do that. That was my only question. It's in there, I think.
So a lot of times what happens is we have discussion, and it doesn't appear to be, as the minute takers, always to come to a conclusion, to a conclusive end as to what action is being taken. So that's why I write these things the way I do, so that people have an opportunity to tell me what changes need to be made.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And that's why I frequently say, I just want to know what you guys want me to write down and where, so we can actually come to a conclusion.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other changes? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
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 Oh,
And I'm going
okay, so 2 abstentions. And our next, sorry, I have the charter in front of me and now I don't. Hang on 1 second. Our next business is to start reviewing the redlined version of the charter. Has everyone had a chance to look through it? And any concerns, any thoughts?
I guess, there's a few things, just parenthetically, we put in like 5.4E, check if it can be eliminated. Is that something we need to do before this goes to the state, or how do we envision those things getting resolved?
The things we have to run through the lawyer?
Mm-hmm.
That's an excellent question. I think we could just contact, I would imagine we would go through Steve's office for review, so we could do that after tonight.
The only concern with eliminating that was to check to see if there are cross-references elsewhere within the charter that might get thrown off.
Right.
And that's probably why this was preserved initially. So
Yeah, I
the
mean,
question
that
is,
was,
do we want to make that effort?
I think I probably picked the silliest example out of all of them. There are some of them that are like 5.11 that are a little more substantive.
Right.
Because one law that is always in effect is the law of unintended consequences.
But I imagine our next step would be to send this to the town attorney.
Yeah, I think the next thing is I prepare a report, that kind of drafted report that just kind of gives a high-level view of what we're doing. It'll be a page and a half or 2 pages, I think, because we're not changing the form of government. And then we review that collectively and make sure we're happy with it, and then that becomes kind of the talking points, the presentation. And then the charter itself goes over to legal counsel for review and ultimately ends up with DRA and the Attorney General's office. Russ had a question.
Yeah, are you looking for comments on quote-unquote red line stuff? Okay. On section, if I'm understanding right, I think it's 11(1)E.
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you just for a second and see, would it make sense to go section by section rather than jump around? Probably, if we want to start in the beginning,
Okay.
just to keep it, otherwise we're going to be flipping pages. Sorry, scrolling. So let's start with section 1.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, there's, yeah.
Yeah, I got nothing on section 1.
I don't have anything either. Section 2.
So in section 2.2, there's just a note that says review.
Yeah.
What do we mean on that? It's the moderator position, most uniquely positioned.
Probably what I intended there was just for me to check and make sure it's consistent with the powers and duties of the moderator under state law. Just glancing at it, it looks like it is.
I think that was our original intention. I think I might have been, yeah, that's what I wrote down. Put a pin in it, follow up with Chris.
Yeah.
So that was the original note.
Oh, it's when you were mentioning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that could be part of your, maybe that could be part of your talking points if you find them or something.
Yes.
I don't think there was anything we objected to. It was more that we just wanted to make sure that there wasn't anything that might have changed or that we needed to, be aware of.
Right. It looks good.
Okay.
It's consistent with my understanding of the responsibilities of the moderator.
Okay.
It's off the top of my head, so.
I think that's all we were looking for there.
Sorry, I don't think I have the right version, I'm not sure why. That was 2.2?
2.2, there was like a note.
Just as a
So
note.
the thing is,
I don't- why don't
are
I
you looking
have
at the preview or you're looking at?
Oh, that's why.
You're not gonna know
Okay.
exactly.
All right, thank you.
Make sure you have the comments pulled up.
That was... It's been a day. Okay. So that was section 2. Were there any other comments for section 2?
No?
No. Section 3. Moving right along.
Yep.
Didn't we,
What's that?
There's a cross-reference note of Article 12.
3.1B, cross-references Article 12. There is no Article 12. Didn't we make a change to the the day that elected officials take office. Didn't we change that elsewhere?
Yeah.
Where does it say in this one, what paragraph?
Right now, I'm looking at 3.1B.
Say that again?
Right now, I'm looking at 3.1B,
Yeah.
but I don't remember where we made the change.
Oh,
yeah.
what about the next part? Is it in there?
When you say the next part,
It says it right there.
okay.
That's the thing, it was, yeah, we wanted those 3 things to align, 3.1B and 3.2. Agreement.
So we would change 3.1B to be the first Monday in April following the election.
Exactly.
Monday in April. So, and what are we doing with the non-existent cross-reference? Are we eliminating that phrase?
We can eliminate that. What I wrote down was that we just wanted to make sure that it aligned with 3.2. And I don't know if I gave you a bad note on that, but that's what I had down for these two things.
Wait, it seems like Article 12 is antiquated. There is no Article 12.
Right, there is no Article 12.
And there's nowhere else in here that talks about dates of taking office.
So here's what I have for 3.1B so everybody can hear it. All members shall take office on the first Monday in April following their election and shall hold office until their successors are duly elected and qualified.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't see why it didn't do it.
Are there any other comments for this section?
No?
Then moving on, section 4.
There was a comment, Tony, on section 3.17.
Okay.
I think this came while I was away. I think the question got raised, what is a village district? What is a village? And I don't know who raised that question, but it's a special purpose municipal entity. It's got its own governance and taxing authority. And there are specified purposes for village districts in RSA 52.1. You can have a fire district, you can have a water district, a sewer district, you can have a district for the care of trees.
1.7.
So there's specified purposes for which a village district can be established. Typically, if you have a town that covers a lot of geographic area, you may have separate fire districts because the central fire, like Pittsburgh, covers a gigantic land mass. They may have separate, or different towns maybe. do it
And water
differently.
districts.
And water districts. So in principle, you could set up the Newmarket public water system as a village district, serving only the members of the district, but we don't do it that way.
And this allows the council the power to do that.
The town council is authorized to do it under
RSA
RSA
52.
Chapter 52. We don't have any in Newmarket. There are no village districts in Newmarket.
But we could in the future, and
could,
the
in
town council
principle, be
could,
done.
yeah.
Scott?
What?
3.1 is membership? Not only have A and B.
Yes, 3.1 is membership, term of office.
Okay.
I think that was what the point was for that, it was just
What is it?
clarification.
Yeah. Yep, that's what it is.
Yeah, but you're 3.17.
Yes, unless you have anything
No,
to add.
No.
Okay.
Oh, 317, pretty much.
Okay.
Okay, we just went over that.
So are you just going to add that as a, in brackets or something?
I don't,
No, I don't think, the question got asked, so I was just trying to answer the question.
Oh, okay.
Article 4.
So there are notes in 4.9 and 4.11. 4.11 is like a request for legal advice about how 4.9 and 4.11 interact with each other, for lack of a better term.
Right.
4.9 is flag for the town council.
Yeah, I would like to change 9.
Council meaning attorney?
No, it says flag for town council review.
The town attorney.
Oh, the town,
C-O-N-S-E-L.
oh, the council. Hot dog, all right,
Yeah.
Thank
I think
you.
I spelled that right.
yeah.
Yeah, that's that West Point education
That's,
kicking in.
hey, that's your taxpayer dollars at work, thank you very much.
I had a comment on 4.6,
Okay.
which I think we went through.
Oh, sorry.
I remember having a discussion, I thought we postponed the discussion about the role of the town manager. Maybe I'm missing that.
We had it last meeting.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we did say that, we would comment that we should maintain it open because Al doesn't have opinions.
Say again?
I think
Yeah.
we said that, like, because you weren't present, like, we should ensure that we have the opportunity to continue the discussion on it, since you were not present at that meeting.
So is this?
And we absolutely can, sure, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
super. So I'm going to go back, I did a little bit of kitchen table research with friends and acquaintances about the role of the town manager, which solicits some input.
Okay.
Thank you for making me big.
Are these the same ones that you had given us before?
They are. Yep. And
Russ, thank you for being with every day.
because I made it that way. So, the issue, I think you all remember was, I brought up this aspect of the town manager having some revenue or economic development focus. And if you look now through the job description, there's no job description in town, including the town planner that talks about economic development and revenue enhancement opportunities. And I'm not suggesting that this is something that we should adopt wholeheartedly, but as I've talked to folks about development within the town, and they bring up anecdotal stories about the Dollar General and a whole bunch of the water plant sitting over there, use of assets, economic development, bringing into the town revenue sources consistent with master plan. So the master plan serves as a guide as to what people want to see where. But as far as I can determine within the realm of job descriptions right now, there's no particular effort being undertaken to look at the master plan and look at development opportunities. So that's basically what this does. And the negatives that I've heard is, well, what happens if the town manager uses economic development as their primary focus? They don't, that's the winning balloon. And number one, I don't think that would happen because in this case, and the last thing we'll talk about is community feedback, which in order to accomplish the economic development plans, you've got to get positive economic feedback. I'm not so concerned about our current state of affairs with our current town manager, but I would expect that when we replace the town manager, which will happen sometime, we'd like to put on the board or in the job description some discussion about economic development. I don't think, the ones I put down here is performance matrix, a non-property tax revenue growth, I get that one. Grants, I get that one. Commercial tax base growth, I get that one. asset revenue, I don't think is necessarily appropriate. But I think community feedback is. Well, it's renting out land, as you suggested, to some of the user of the space, that would be the asset. It might be, but I thought that was getting into the dirt a little bit. So, and I think all of them are getting too specific. And while as a business guy, I'd like to see performance matrix. We don't have any others. So my challenge to myself has been, can you come up with something that will cover this revenue and economic development focus without performance matrix? And I lean on the commission, if they think it's a good idea, to come up with some kind of statement relating to revenue and economic development.
Russ?
If we don't have that as one of the functions delineated as the town manager, even in its macro for economic development, including a few of the things you said that should be the responsibility of the town manager, because in my view, it should be at least touched on every year in the report, and whether there are opportunities or not opportunities. A lot of this says, here's what by law we should like to see, or the way it is, and we've noticed not all of it is followed, so we can't guarantee it's being followed, but I think the obligation to put economic development with at least that responsibility with the town manager. And I can see in the future, if that becomes an important thing, that maybe there's a position that comes out of that to focus on, but at least the town manager should say, I've thought about this, and here are the 4 or 5 areas, and this is what's going to, so at least we have some dialogue on that, just not more.
Yeah,
Other thoughts?
we are doing that, right? And I think that's what?
We're doing that.
So for instance, we are selling our waste treatment facility services. We sell septage processing. So we allow other towns to come in and dump their septic in our town, which means that has generated several $100,000 for the town. And we use that money to build a special purpose treatment for it, and it actually makes our digestion process better because there's more things we can. The fire department, Rick would love to buy another ambulance because he claims, he makes a lot of money with the ambulances. And right now, the story is, it's almost exclusively for non-Newmarket applications. We're focused on Newmarket. So maybe we should think about, at least asking Rick to say, okay, if we bought you an ambulance, here's what it's going to cost. What are you going to give us in return? So there are things like that go on, and I think for us to be able to say, we encourage you, we're basically encouraging the town manager to encourage his department heads to look for revenue opportunities. And they are finding them. They are there.
Yeah.
First off, I really commend the council for their enthusiastic treatment of septage and digestion. I mean, how about this as an idea? Because the charter isn't really typically a place you're overly aspirational in terms of how you write things. That's more for the council to manage. But I agree that, you read all of section H, or 4.6H, and there's nothing about economic development. There's no, I think that's probably where it belongs, because this is all sort of nuts and bolts, shall do this, shall do that, shall do this, shall do that, and that's an important role for the town manager is the economic development agenda. So maybe a 15th bullet, and I don't know that it necessarily goes number 15 because it feels more important than some of the other things on this list, at least to me. I don't my bias would be not to get as specific, and that's, I know that's not what you're proposing, but my bias would be not to get as specific as what's here, but just have a numbered item in 4.6H for economic development. I don't even know how you begin to word the one on community feedback, but probably, I mean, the two that should be pretty easy to word are town economic development and, optimization, maximization of revenue from assets. Those two seem pretty straightforward. Between the 8 of us, we ought to be able to find the words for that. Community feedback, if somebody has just a flash of inspiration as to how you word that so that it doesn't become something we regret writing.
If only we had a lawyer.
I know, right?
So how about,
No, if we had a good lawyer.
Oh! I'm getting under the
Wow.
table. Shot across the bow.
I took business law in college. I watched Suits,
Damn, he's got
which
us.
the entire premise of the show is based on fraud. It drives me nuts. So how about this? I propose in item number 15, identify opportunities to generate non-tax revenue and encourage economic development consistent with the master plan.
I like it.
I like it a lot. What I don't like is purchase of supplies for the town being number 3.
No, it's the placement.
That's in the statute. Okay, so, I mean, it's in the statute,
All of that whole list comes from the statute.
except for the new number 15, which we just
Right.
added.
Gotcha.
This is straight out of the statute.
No wonder they looked all alike. I was astonished. Okay. Should we, as you're forming that, is it important to put in non-tax revenues? That what we're looking for economic development is growth in non-tax revenues? Whether it's renting a facility or charging this or...
Is it? I mean, and maybe I'm out of left field. I think of economic development as something a little different. That's bringing new tax base into the town. Which is a little different from saying the existing plant base, we want to generate more from it.
So let's just back up. The town manager doesn't wave a magic wand and make economic development appear. There's a whole set of
not.
processes to make that happen. So if opportunities arise, he brings that to the attention of the council,
Yep.
and then there's public debate and discussion, and then the opportunity is pursued or not pursued.
I've never heard it in 20 years.
Well, he's saying it with this language.
Yeah. No, hey, Chris,
If
amen.
somebody comes to the town and says, we want to put a cell phone antenna on the town's water tower, that's an economic development opportunity, because there's a rent that's paid for that. I think you're thinking of a large-scale wholesale revision of the town's economy, and that's not the way it works. It's incremental, because that's how the opportunities arise.
I'm not, I wish what I had done is read the town charter for Exeter, because Exeter has put a real emphasis on economic development to the point where we hired somebody that only does economic development. And if you look at downtown Exeter, you can see the fruits of that labor, whether you agree with it or not. And I guess what I was trying to do was to lay the groundwork for accountability somewhere. And I don't know where. In fact, I thought the only place to do it is the town manager. So that the town manager periodically said to the town, this is what we're working on for, and I don't want to laugh. There is a current example of the old Rite Aid, area. We're going to do this. And I don't see the accountability anymore.
That's the council's responsibility. I mean, what this document that you've given is an excellent guide, I think, to the council in having, setting up specific targets and having specific accountability. That's their job in the contract negotiation process. The idea of the charter is to identify priorities, not to say this or that specific other thing shall be done, because you're tying hands at that point. I mean, I don't know, I'm not 100% clear on exactly what the town manager is supposed to do to generate economic development opportunities. Is he supposed to call, what, your local big box nationwide retailer and invite them to come to town and take a look around? I'm not sure. I think the council's got to be given, identify this as a priority and then be given the discretion to address how it's handled under specific circumstances. That's the way I envision it, Phil.
So, sorry.
Yeah. Right. Go ahead.
So, one thing with the specifics of the language, because I know there were opportunities to generate non-property tax revenue, because room and meals tax is a tax, and that I don't think would necessarily be considered a negative, unless that's not the type of development we want, but right? Like the restaurant opens and you get meals tax, that feels like tax revenue. The think, Al, like generally what I'm hearing is you would like us to, and I don't disagree, have an investment like for the community, either via an entity like that is in the staff, or like a committee or commission, have like economic development be something that is raised to the priority of having a focus area of not just the town manager, but the town as a whole. That how do we, or can we structurally through a charter, encourage the development of, say, an economic development committee to potentially foster all of these things?
Yeah.
Like, would that help us get towards the?
Again, I don't know. The answer is I don't know.
Any step forward to identify accountability for economic development would be a step forward.
We just don't, I feel like we couldn't put in here, hire an economic development person, right? Like, that's something that's step beyond the charter.
Absolutely not.
But I think, I don't know if we could encourage a committee, like, as one, at least say that the council can form this, not like make it required.
I mean, I'll just throw in my 2 cents. Like, the council can, right? Like,
Yeah.
they can. We've had an economic development committee in the past. And I would argue that currently, I guess the narrative that nothing's happening is, I don't think is fair. And I think that having been around now for, a bunch of years, there have been missed opportunities, right? I remember people still talk about how we didn't get the Dunkin' Donuts and the brewery.
Sure, the brewery.
And the grocery store.
Or the oil refinery.
Or the oil refinery. Or the grocery store that's, was supposed to
Not
be.
kidding.
Yeah. The grocery store that was supposed to be over by the vacant lot on North Main Street.
Yep.
And that fell through because
Walmart.
we couldn't put a light because of the Department of Transportation, not because of any town manager at the time. And so there are so many factors involved that I think that to put that kind of responsibility just on the town manager, I just don't think is fair. And then again, I would say, like, we just met, the NCDC just met with Bart to talk about the North End development, and there are a lot of things in the works. Did we get the Dollar General? Yeah, but that property belonged to Rite Aid or, the corporation, and they sold it to the highest bidder, I don't know how a town manager gets involved in that process.
Well, I'm not getting from Al's specifics. I'm trying to think of the general way. If we all agree on at least pointing that economic development, whether it happens or it doesn't happen, is at least a responsibility.
To keep
and
an eye out
should
for it.
be touched on by the town manager role, since it's in charge of the town. And I'll throw words at you and you can quibble with them, but if you wanted to be more specific on economic development, you may want to say with focus on increasing tax base and non-tax base revenues, okay? And that could cover the fire truck, the assets, and it can also cover bringing in new businesses in town to increase the tax base. So what I sort of propose is economic development, improving growth in tax base and non-tax base revenues.
I agree exactly with what Chris said earlier. The town manager can't wave a magic wand. They're not going to be the one to pick up a shovel. However, they are sort of the central coordinating authority as between the council's authority, the voters' authority, the responsibilities of the town planner. You know, this does, getting whatever the town decides it wants to do does fall within the town manager's purview, and also highlighting and bringing the opportunities to the town to consider by virtue of the fact that the town manager manages the town planner.
And
falls
sees
within
a broader picture than anybody else.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, the responsibility is not to wave a magic wand or pick up a shovel, but the responsibility is to, you know, make sure that we're pursuing the things that the town wants to pursue and to look for the opportunities.
If you have a piece of vacant land in a commercial district, okay, hypothetically, and we have some, and a business is thinking about setting itself up in there, what process do they follow now? Where do they stop first? Do they call Steve first? Do they call the town manager first?
No. But I bet they call someone
Okay.
who works for Steve.
The planner probably.
They probably get a hold of the zoning ordinance and the site plan ordinance and the subdivision, depending on what they're doing. And then they probably get a hold of the town planner and say, this is what we're thinking about doing. And then ultimately it ends up if they decide to proceed, it ends up in a conceptual review with the planning board, I'm guessing. And there's an assessment made by the business owner of, am I going to need, again in discussion with the town planner, am I going to need variances? What am I going to need? How do I do this? And then there's an iterative process with the planning board before there's a formal application. It really runs, it's really, that being my understanding of generally how these things work and having represented people on both sides of the way this works, I don't see the town manager having an overriding role in that process. I mean, it's not the person who gets the call from whoever to do this work. I think it's sufficient to simply say, this is something that we'd like to have as part of the responsibility to identify opportunities as they come up, but then they just get fed into the normal process. And I think it's sufficient to just say, this is a high-level objective, and leave the implementation of the high-level objective to the council on a contract-by-contract basis. It's just the way I look at
Chris,
it.
you and I
totally agree with you.
Yeah, you and I are in violent agreement.
So what's wrong with the language of identify opportunities to generate non-property tax revenue and encourage economic development consistent with the master plan? What's wrong with
I
that
don't see
language?
anything wrong with that.
No, that's fine. Is it in there, or we just put it in?
No, he just put it in.
Did you want to?
I already said, didn't I already read this out?
You did.
I think Al, because we're all agreeing, I think what you're asking for is a proactive approach to economic development as opposed to a reactive approach, and that's where I think the term identify opportunities is the proactive element.
Yeah.
That is the difference between the process as you
All he's
currently
doing is
define,
bringing forward potential opportunities to the extent they come to his attention.
as opposed to waiting for the
If
call.
you want to have metric, you can put metrics on the town manager if you want, but really you should put metrics on the planning board.
And again, the
yeah.
metrics are the council's responsibility. That doesn't, I don't think that belongs in this
If
document.
economic development, you get in there somewhere as a term, that would be great, but I think the way you stated it pretty much gets there.
Economic development is in here. Encourage economic development consistent with the master plan.
And just my closing remark is, at some point in time, the town may say that the manager doesn't have the
Yeah.
time or whatever to do it, and we need to look at another resource, which is what most towns do.
And the council can bring that forward. If there's a convincing case made to the council and to the budget committee,
Yep.
then that case can be brought forward
I think it's a
and
good
discussed.
resolution. Yeah.
And I think by
And you got to pull the town planner into this discussion as well, I think.
And I think that the master plan process that we just went through, spent a lot of time talking about the economic development of the town. What would people like to see? The biggest response that I heard was more like what our current downtown looks like. We'd like to see
Right.
an extension of that, perhaps into the North Corridor, but walkable, enjoyable space. That was the biggest takeaway, and so I think we did go through that process, and that's
Yeah.
the proper place to get that citizen input, and then it's reflected in the master plan, and could be brought back up again when people ask, what's going on with, economic and development in the town. Well, let's look at the master plan.
Part of the vision of the downtown redevelopment, and I know because I was there, was hopefully the private market would identify opportunities and push redevelopment up the little side streets branching off of downtown.
Right.
That hasn't quite happened as we envisioned, but I think the lever has been applied, and eventually the market will recognize. It's just, access is just super difficult as it turns out.
And this
but
new
there it
village,
is.
this new village zone, which the planning board just implemented, is
Yes.
exactly focused on that.
Yeah, and I've worked with towns that have development districts, where they focus energy on, this is where, the core of our downtown, we want to redevelop this. So they set up NCDCs, they set up TIF districts to focus development, they do infrastructure improvements.
Exactly what we did. That's
Yep.
exactly how we did it
That's
downtown,
exactly.
NCDC.
And you know what, it worked.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I just want to point one thing out before we move on. So I'm not 100% in favor of adding that language, but I'm probably the only one. But number 4, it says police and fire departments. We don't, in the charter, talk about how the police and fire departments should be managed, right? And so I feel like that's what we're doing a little bit. Like, I would add maybe management of the community development director, or I'm not sure exactly what Bart's title is. I think it's community
No,
development
it
director.
isn't. It's town plan. That's part of the problem.
Okay, so, but management of that office or something like that, rather than getting real specific about economic development. So that's just my 2 cents. But I think
Yeah.
I'm the one person who feels that way, so.
Tony, I hear you. I mean, you do have to be conscious of the law of unintended consequences. So does this become a lever for Steve to walk across the hall and lean on the town planner to do something? I don't know. The town planner already is accountable as an employee to Steve, to the town manager, excuse me. But it's not
I'm not sure he needs an extra lever.
right, exactly. I'm not sure it's,
Yeah.
maybe, Tony, you just look at it as, this is trying to send a message to the community that this is, this is something that's important. And I think that's the point that Al and Russ are trying to make ultimately. How it's implemented is to be worked out by the council with the town manager on a year-to-year
And I hope
basis.
it becomes a subject to the town council to look at this whole economic development thing, that's all.
Thank you for. And I think Scott's saying, yeah, we do, of course we do.
Can we number it, as Al suggested, lower it beyond moving it to number 17 or 18 or whatever?
I just dropped it at the bottom so I don't have to go through the trouble of renumbering everything, but I'll put it anywhere you want me to put it. Just
Oh, I
tell
thought
me
you said
where.
we couldn't.
I mean, the rest is copy and pasted from the RSA.
Pretty much, yes.
We've made, from my perspective, we've made enough progress that
Yeah.
step
We
by
can
step.
talk about it again in 10 years. We'll do this again.
Perhaps not. I won't be talking about anything in 10 minutes.
All right, so we're going to add that in?
Yeah,
And-
I've added a 15,
Okay.
exactly along the lines I've suggested.
Anything else in this section?
Just because I'm irritating and pedantic, can
4.9.
we unindent item L from that list so that it lines up with the other letters?
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
all the formatting is so messed up
Oh,
Okay.
that I'm going to ask my assistant to clean up all the formatting of this
Okay.
thing, because I'm not competent to do it.
No asking AI.
No, there's no hallucinations. The hallucinations are purely my own.
Scott, did you have a comment?
Yeah, on
Is that
four-
reassuring?
On 4.9, I would, as the discussion last time, that we just remove the last part of the sentence that says, and discuss at a meeting with department heads and managers. So that way, the manager, the town council is not reviewing the department heads.
What line is this?
4.9 is the very last line.
So how would the last sentence read?
It would just say, and submitted to the town council to review, period. I'd also like to change, instead of an annual report, I'd like to change it to a biannual report. So we can't say, well, the town, whatever it's called, the annual report of the town isn't the report.
The second part, I totally agree. Biannual report. I mean, so how often does an organization set goals and not talk about it for a year?
By then, it's too late.
Yeah, it's way too late.
Okay, quarterly.
Quarterly.
Yeah, I'd support quarterly. That, absolutely. I am less in support, however, Scott, of discussing a meeting with the department head and the manager. Like,
What I removed was that the council would review the department heads.
so they're reviewing and discussing the report is the way I see that. It's a report on the goals of the department.
So what it says is the goals of the departments will be set by the manager and reviewed and accepted by the council. So in other words, the departmental goals will be approved by the council. Then they will be reviewed by the manager. And then the manager will give a report to the council as to how the department heads are doing. But the town council will not directly talk to the department heads.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in Scott's court on this one because that last clause, and discuss at a meeting with the department head and the manager, I mean, just the way it's written, department head singular, that makes it sound like each department head is going to be brought in individually with the manager to face the council in something that
Oh, I see.
feels potentially adversarial. I'm with Scott on that one. I absolutely think the town manager should be reviewing the progress of his people's goals with the council, subject to questions and whatever. If the department heads want to attend that meeting, that's, hey, completely up to them. But the way this is worded is a little, I think it's uncomfortable.
It's almost bringing the individual to the deity.
Right.
Well,
Well,
that's
I mean,
extreme.
well,
Let's,
I mean,
one at a
everyone
time though,
guys feel
please.
that
Just,
I think it keeps consistent with the fact that you're not supposed to have town councilors directly supervising,
Micromanaging.
okay? And I think the town council can assess Steve's assessment of the manager and whether it agrees, and it's an open discussion as to whether they agree or disagree. But that flowing through Steve and not having each department head come up and feel the town council can directly make sense.
So, I think that potentially, all of this being nested under annual review of department heads is a little bit confusing. Because as far as I'm concerned, the only thing that really talks about the annual review of the department heads is the first sentence, saying that they'll be reviewed by the manager. Everything else after that is goal setting. And I think organizational goal setting, being the council having being part of the dialogue of like, hey, here's our department goals for this quarter and for this year and this quarter, and here's the progress to goal. I don't see that as overstepping the council's bound. It's hearing a report directly from that department head and the town manager on, here's our progress to goal this far. What I do hear is sitting in a meeting about their annual review, that is a different thing. I do think it's out. I almost wish this was broken into two sections. Annual review is that first sentence, and then there's like something about department goals, not individual goals, department goals, which I think oversight of those department goals, the oversight of the manager's oversight of the department goals requires the council understanding those department goals with some level of granularity.
So why don't we do this?
Does that make sense? Like, I hear you.
I don't want to get too political here, but I'm trying to write something that will actually be done.
Fair point. As someone who's in the trenches right now.
You know what really might make this flow better? If you took the first sentence and made it the third. So in other words, it would read, and you'd have to change the wording of this a little, but in preparation for an annual review, the manager shall meet with the council in order to establish the department's goals and objectives for the coming year. Such goals and objectives shall be communicated to the department head and will be used as a basis for a performance evaluation. Then, 1 year after their initial appointment and at least annually thereafter, each department head shall be reviewed by the manager. Then you come on down to the manager shall review the extent to which the department head has succeeded in meeting goals and objectives of the preceding year and determine the reasons why any goals were changed or not met during that year. A quarterly report identifying the department's goals and objectives as well as the status of achieving such items shall be drafted by the department head, approved by the manager, and submitted by the council to review.
Yeah, that's fine.
Submitted to the council?
Yeah, to the council.
Yeah.
To the council.
So again, I think what I'm saying is take the first sentence, make it the third, and then rewrite the second sentence a little because it sounded weird without the first sentence in front of it.
So
Thoughts?
here's what I've written. I've done two things. First of all, I've taken your first three sentences and made that 4.9A.
Okay.
So you have the preparation of the goals
Yep.
and a separate section for the review of the goals.
Perfect.
Which is consistent with what Phil was talking about. So now the 4.9A reads, in preparation for annual review, the manager shall meet with the council, annual review of department, you can say department performance.
Yeah. Thank you.
The manager shall meet with the council to establish each department's goals and objectives for the coming year. Period. Such goals and objectives shall be communicated to the department head, and I added by the town manager.
Yes.
And
Wait a minute, the goals for the department should be approved by the town council.
well, I think that's implicit. So
Okay.
meet with the council to establish each department's goals and objectives.
Okay.
That's the first sentence,
All right.
right? So such goals and objectives shall be communicated to the department head by the town manager and will be used as a basis for performance evaluation. And then 1 year after the initial appointment, at least annually thereafter, each department head shall be reviewed by the manager.
Phil?
So, a couple points in that. One point in that, one a broader point, so I'll stick with point in that. If I were a department head and the town manager and the council came up with my department's goals, then came to me and said, here's your goals, go do it, that would feel somewhat disempowering.
That's not the way it works. The town manager will have met with the department head in advance and we'll have discussed what they think the goals should be. This doesn't come up out of the blue.
So, agreed, but I'm trying to also think, if not current state, not current council, not current town manager, some nefarious town manager comes and reads it and says, this says it's me and them, and that is it. They could be within bounds. And maybe I'm just being too cautious in what could happen in a literal interpretation of it.
So if the town manager cuts the council out of the process, that becomes a performance issue that gets reviewed with the town manager by the town council, if that's your concern.
And my concern is kind of the department head of the process in the initial stage, goal-setting stage.
Well,
In that first paragraph.
so what do you, so,
Well, wait a minute, this thing, in preparation for the review, the manager shall meet with the council and the department heads, right? Maybe you could say separately.
right.
Yeah, the council and department heads in order to establish. That would feel better to me, ensuring that there's some indication that you're supposed to meet with the department heads to set these goals. Again, we're not hiring people that have never done this before.
It's a
Yeah,
tricky section,
I
for
don't-
sure.
I think that would be the intent, that the managers and the department heads come up with their goals, and then they review them with the council.
So, maybe my global statement might help impact the specifics here. The fact that section 4.9 is just annual reviews of department heads, and we're talking about goal setting and annual reviews.
You have to review something.
But they're related, right? But
Right.
I wonder if we could rename section 4.9, something like departmental goal setting and annual reviews of department heads. So that there's a paragraph on department goal setting, and then a second paragraph that is just about reviews. Don't even talk about the reviews in the first one. Just talk about the process of setting department goals. And in this, or the process, what we're asking of department goals via the charter. And then from there, the second one is about annual reviews of department heads. So they're separate. They're related because they're in the same paragraph, the same section, but separated because they're in separate paragraphs, clearly.
I would change the title to review of department heads. If you're gonna do it quarterly. I mean, the problem we have right now is every month we get a report from the department heads as to what they're doing, but it's open loop.
It's activity.
This is what we're doing, and there's nothing about, well, this is what I said I would do, and this is what I'm doing. It's always just, this is what I'm doing.
Which is why I'm trying to say, my proposal is, there's an annual goal setting, departmental goal setting process that the council is informed of,
Oh, I see.
approving.
Right.
And that you get quarterly reports on progress to goal, and then the annual review is the manager's purview, but that it's related to the goals. And it takes the council out of the meeting with the managers for the review, but leaves the council very tightly, monitoring progress to goal of the town's major departments.
Okay, right now, what'll happen is you'll say the annual review. is
Well,
September.
that's not, we're,
I'm breaking it up.
however, that's, again, we're at a different level. We're supposed to be talking about it at a different
I
level.
have a different thought.
Yeah.
I've dealt with annual performance reviews for 40 years of my career. And every year we come up with a different way to get objectives established and different measurements, and we're going to meet, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. And it turns out to be, in many cases, organizational, can't think of the right word that I can say.
Cluster.
So I have a different thought, one that is pretty simple and may be appropriate or may not be. I think the responsibility of setting the goals of the town manager and the town council, that's where it begins. The town council sets down and the manager presents their goals, and then the town council presents their thoughts about those goals. And so it starts from the top, and they're broad goals. They could be goals of any flavor, and they're gonna change every year. Then the manager sits down with his department's heads and flows those goals into the department. And it's a working relationship between those two that are then shared with the town council, so they can see the progress and they can see how they hang together. I think to have the town council get involved in goal setting for a department manager, number one, I don't think they have the insight to do it. In terms of operations at that level, I don't think the DPW and its goals for the coming year are going to be, well, I don't think the council's going to have enough knowledge to do that. So that would be my suggestion, is that we start, and I totally agree with what everybody's saying, separate the goal setting from performance. And I wouldn't encourage 4 times a year, because it's a huge undertaking.
Yeah,
Managers
Jesus.
managers are going to be
massive.
sitting there doing their defense. That's what it is. It's not I did this, it's why I didn't do that. So, again, my suggestion, I can't give much guidance beyond that, is other than to keep it simple. Don't make these goals so they go on for 3 pages. You know, you should have 5 or 6 or 7 strategic goals. Start at the top, down to the next level, and down to the next level. Review them a couple times.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I agree with Al. As far as the flow, the council should be setting goals with the manager. The manager should then take those goals and say, which of these get handed to my department managers and in what form to be consistent with that, and that's that process. Once that's established, the manager's going to judge how they performed against the goals, and he's going to share that with the town council, but the town council is not setting the goals of the individual department in that matrix. And they're not assessing directly that manager unless for some reason Steve wants to bring them into that process. It's down this way, back up this way. Yeah, I think that's what you described, and I would agree with that. The review process is the managers, not the town councils. The performance against goals is a several level process that eventually gets the town council to help establish them and then help determine whether they've been achieved.
Sorry.
You go first.
So, I mean, you're talking about nested goals, right? Like that we have council goals and nested manager goals and nested department head goals. And I totally support that. I think, glaringly obvious that nowhere in here have we said the council is required to have goals.
Well, duh.
Yeah, right? Like, but we have, like, in section 3, we didn't mention council is required to annually set goals. In section 4, under town manager, and it's not under duties, but it's certainly not under review of department heads. If it's under annual review of manager in section 4.3, we should say, annually the town manager will establish goals approved by the council that are in alignment with town council goals for the year, or something like that. You're talking about how do we create language in the charter that says goals should be nested under each other so that they all support the 3 to 5 goals of each of these is supporting the overarching vision. Is that correct?
It is, and by the way, the school board does.
The school board does do it.
They do it just as we're talking right now.
It's not written into anything, though. They just do it. Yeah.
Well, they do an off-site, set the goals for the year, then trend them down, and they keep them pretty simple.
Yeah, so the board, we set goals for ourselves, for the board. The review and approve the superintendent's goals, which are aligned with our goals. And then it's up to the superintendent to figure out how he translates that into goals for the department heads within the district. So that at each stage, you're only looking at, do the people I actually manage and review align with what my goals are?
And that's the
Okay,
goal
so-
creation.
yeah.
Review process goes back the other
So
way.
your job is to ensure that the superintendent is performing his job, right?
Yeah.
And so his job is basically to manage his people.
Well, it's a
And
little,
so
I'd say
No, I'm
it's,
just asking, so
Yeah.
how do you know that he's managing his people?
it doesn't matter. The goals we set for the superintendent are for the school district. And how, within the bounds of the law and basic ethics and morality, as long as he's managing his people to attain the goals that we've set for him, it really shouldn't matter to us how he does that, because they're not our employee, he is. So, in
So-
general, that's the same way any corporate board would work. The corporate board sets goals for the company. They are the CEO's goals, and however the CEO wants to go about that within the bounds of the law, did he get there or not? It doesn't really matter how.
I agree. Did you, do
I'm
we
just
have any
gonna-
language, or did you
The
spitball?
language, I've already reviewed the language. What I'm going to suggest is, let's get a look at this next time and come back if we think it's necessary, because I think we're drifting away. It's a great conceptual discussion, but we're drifting away from the language. I think the language captures what's been discussed. So I'm just going to suggest I've added department goal setting and annual review of department heads as the heading, broken it down into A and B to reflect those two pieces of it, and rearranged the language as suggested by Dan. I think it's sensible, and
Well, I
I think
think
it's-
Dan's saying get rid of 4.1, right?
No,
But simplify it?
where'd that come
Maybe?
from?
Well, if you're only looking at the superintendent and you're not looking at any departments, do you need language that tells the superintendent that he has to manage his people?
No, that's not the way it works. The goal setting is, okay, this year, we're going to revamp the middle school English curriculum. There's going to be a new proposal because there's new best practices or whatever. That proposal is going to come forward at some point during the year, and you're going to have a presentation on it, and there's going to be discussion of it.
yeah, I mean, I guess to clarify.
That's the performance.
So we set goals that can be specific to department, like we have a
Right.
goal around cybersecurity, that's specific to the technology department. We have goals around, like, things that are specific to the elementary school, things that are
Professional
specific to
development.
the middle school.
And are they done at all in cooperation with people below the superintendent?
Yes, the superintendent wouldn't bring them to us in all likelihood if his folks weren't on board with them.
Right. No,
It goes in both directions.
Right.
But again, at the end of the day, we're setting goals for the superintendent.
Yeah.
And
So for the town, Public Works has a goal to pave 6 or 7 streets or roads during the year, because they can't do them all at once. Those roads get paved or they don't. And if they don't, there's a reason why. There should be a reason why that didn't happen. Whether material's not available, labor not, whatever reason. That happens. So it's still a worthwhile exercise to set those goals, because you're trying to accomplish something, and there has to be accountability for something. And if the goals aren't hit, there's either a good explanation or there's not. If there's not a good explanation, then the only employee the council has is the town manager. And that's the person who's ultimately responsible if there's chronic failure to meet significant goals with no good explanation.
Yeah, I thought that is basically what you were writing.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
That's what
okay.
that's what I've tried to write.
I agree.
Yeah.
And we'll,
That's how it works, Al, right? That's how it works in private industry.
Yep.
There's a goal, there's an expectation. If it's not hit, there's an explanation why. And if it's because you didn't work hard enough, then that's a different conversation. Then that 15 other things came up to take us away from what we hope to accomplish.
okay, so we'll review that at our next meeting. Moving on. Other items in section 4.
nothing for me.
Nothing for me.
Yeah, I don't know, on 411, that's obviously Chris, maybe.
I think it's just making sure that 4.9 is in alignment with 4.11, that it's not overstepping the bounds of it. Is that right?
Right, I think those two interact with each other, and that's why I'm reluctant to make the change to section 4.9 that Phil has proposed, which is have the council involved with the department heads in the goal-setting process. Steve is accountable to the council for the performance and non-performance of the departments. So he needs
Yeah.
to have some control over what gets presented as the goals from the department's perspective.
And this is just my bias too, and I'm just admit it. I think it's also an opportunity for the department heads to shine, like be on camera in front of the community.
I
saying,
totally
like, Look
agree.
at all these goals and how great we're doing. Like, I don't see it as this like the council there to assault a department head,
Right.
as much as a like the way the building leadership comes to the school board, and like I've never seen it be anything but like hearing the fantastic things happening in those schools, and even when there's things that like are being worked on, it's always a positive dialogue.
So my guillotine comment.
Sorry, yeah, no
was
guillotines.
Unappreciated.
We'll roll that back.
There's no quicker way to destroy employee morale than to dress somebody down in public.
Yeah.
It's not productive. You address that, if you have issues, you address it with the superintendent or the town manager.
Agree to all of the above, but, remember one of the
I've seen it happen in other
principles is,
towns. You don't want that culture in your town.
Seen it
we
happen
have
in
to,
Newmarket.
make this robust enough if all the good people are replaced by bridge trolls, so.
It's been a while, but yeah.
It's always the bridge troll.
Yep.
Do not
Okay.
empower the trolls.
All right,
Westport side, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Article 5.
5.2 has an Article XX of the charter in it.
Yeah, that's because I put that's XX is one of the things I do when I'm not sure what I'm cross-referencing. So we were making some changes to the budget committee thing, and I just wasn't sure exactly what, if you want to tell me what the cross-reference should be, then I'll fill it in.
Put the document into AI.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not feeding anything into AI.
What's that?
I said feed the document into, he was wondering which article, and I said you could feed it into AI and then ask it that question.
I just can't hear you that well.
We're talking about AI evaluation of the document.
Is there any reason we can't?
So for instance, in 5.2, where we're looking for the precise particle, that's an application you can use AI.
So I think it's not an article, I think it's within the same article. I think it's section 5.4, goes over use of the official ballot, and it's goes through the meeting, it's the process of the town meeting, and budgetary warrant articles.
So 5.4, done.
Okay. Any other comments on section 5?
No.
We added some language into section 5.7.
You really worked over section 5.7.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did. Raked it over the coals.
I'm good through the end of section 5.
Okay.
So on 5.11, are you gonna, Chris, are you checking or somebody checking if there's flexibility in the acceptance of grants?
The town attorney's going to have to check that.
The town attorney, okay.
This is something that Steve raised,
Right, I was there.
and I actually asked Eric Mayer, who's going to review this thing, about that, and he said, I'm not sure. I need to think about that.
Okay.
And he's one of the smartest guys I know, so he'll have to take a look at that. Present company accepted, of course.
All right, section 6.
Did we make any changes there? Yeah.
Really?
No, we didn't,
Nope.
Section 6 is essentially administrative kind of
Yeah.
stuff. It's not really.
We don't want to change payroll. Okay, Article 7.
No editing.
No, I think we blew right through that one.
What's that?
Article 7, I think we blew right through that one.
Yeah. Article 8.
There are, briefly about Article 7, there are towns
sure.
where they have like members of the Board of Selectmen who are there for 20 years. And that's when the conflict of interest thing gets a little weird because they get involved in a lot of stuff. We seem to turn over our boards fairly regularly. We don't have fewer opportunities for graft,
Yep.
which is why Phil's not on the board anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get enough graph.
Article 8.
I like how it is now. Correct.
Section 8.
So we're checking with town council on referendum, the number for referendum.
Yeah, there's different requirements for different things, and I
Yeah.
just want to flag it up for Eric to just cross-check and make sure we've got the right number for the right purpose.
Any other
Article
comments?
8.
I'm good.
Okay. Article 9. Town reporting, town meeting. It's not
Can we
much there.
change 10.2B to be the first Monday in April to conform with the others?
Yep. Yeah, so Article 10.
No, you're on 8. We're looking for 3 of the label.
What about 10.3? What was the ADA thing there that we were looking at?
Well, that,
Oh, incapacitated.
I wasn't sure, I'm not sure that there might be an ADA overlay to some of this. I don't think so, but I just want Eric to want the town attorney to double check that.
Yeah, okay, just after the discussion. So now we're not including.
I don't know if it applies to elected officials, but I just want to make sure that it doesn't before we get sued.
Anything to make this all more consistent with people from Massachusetts.
Any other thoughts on Article 10?
No.
Is there, so it looks like we were renumbering the sections down through 10.13 and then stopped.
Yeah, I'll clean that up, Dan.
Okay.
All right, moving on, Article 11. A lot of changes here.
How many on the budget committee?
11. So 9 elected, 2 appointed.
Did we, so we're taking out that they will appoint alternate members? So why is it like with that?
There shouldn't be a line.
On 11.1?
I'm having
We're on
trouble
point
hearing
one.
you, it may be me, is it me?
Oh,
No, it's echoey.
shall be
People
appointed
are
by the
talking
planning board.
quietly.
I think
It's not you.
I don't know why that was.
So I think you moved it up.
Oh, yeah, it moved it up.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
second sentence,
You just moved it up, okay.
or the third sentence, whatever.
I think it was amplified.
Right, that question.
So we had discussions on the numbers at budget committee. I think it's highlighted because we never had it.
Right.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
It's one of those things, with all due respect to everybody, as your minute taker, there's a lot of discussion, but there's not a proposal to do something, and so I'm like, I'm not sure what to do. So I highlight it in yellow to remind us all.
Yep.
I think this is the committee that we seem to have the most trouble getting people onto.
Are
As
we
much
on the
as I
budget
think-
committee B, is that what we're?
Yes.
Yes.
And as much as I wish we could have as many people as possible on it, I also recognize that I think it might create challenges I think it creates optical challenges when you walk into that ballot box and you see, choose 3 people, and there's one name on it. There's something about that if we reduce it to 9, I don't think it would be it'd be a grand number reduction, but it would provide us perhaps an opportunity to have a full budget committee again.
I totally agree. I'm hopeful that one of the reasons there are so few people going to it was its lack of and perhaps with exchange enrollment.
11's also a lot of people now.
Yeah.
I'll see your 9 and Lord is 6.
Well,
Oh.
Yeah,
there's a danger, well,
You'd end up
an
with an
even
even
number is
number.
problematic.
Is it?
7.
What if you have a
The
tie?
planning board has is 6.
What if you have a tie?
6.
Well, there's a 7th appointed by the town, that's the town councilor, and they are a voting member. So you have
So there's
2
7.
members, so you would want to have, you'd want to keep it odd, so you're right.
Yeah,
Need
you're
7
appointing
elected,
2.
we'd need at least 7 elected with 2 appointed, that would get us to 9.
I think there's I'm not disagreeing, I'm not expressing an opinion on 7 or 9, but there's a danger to having it too small, because they have a significant amount of authority, and then you may be more vulnerable to, how do I put this? A special
Shenanigans.
interest group taking over the budget committee.
So right now it's 9 and 2. The question is 7 and 2 going to, the 7 and 2 I think is where I was headed as well.
Okay, that's where you were.
Yeah, 9 total, 7 and 2.
Yeah.
Was there anything statutorily? I thought we had discussion.
It's a range.
I think it's a range.
Yeah.
Do you recall what that might
I
be?
don't remember what the range is.
I think it was oddly small.
It was what?
The left end I think was pretty small, and I think we're not quite at the right end yet. No.
We have vacancy right now.
Yeah.
Do we have a chair?
Yeah, we don't even have a chair to the budget committee.
Okay. So, yeah, that's why I think 7 is
So do we.
a more realistic number.
What's the consensus?
7.
So 7 total or 7 elected, 2 appointed?
7 elected, 2 appointed.
So
Seven
9
Keep-
total.
Keep that odd number.
Yeah.
Yep. 9 is still a good number, I think. I think it's a
not
safe
small.
number.
It's bigger than
Yeah.
the council and the school board.
Yeah.
But we don't have a minimum, which somebody brought up as something that if you put does it need to be at least 5 or 6 people to operate functionally, or if it doesn't hit the 9?
Well, if it doesn't hit a quorum, it doesn't operate.
Yeah,
I mean,
Okay,
so
it's
that's,
a function of 5 out of 9,
right.
if you're talking 9 is the magic number.
5
So
per
even
quorum.
if it had 5 only,
At least as long as 3 of them show up, plus the school board and the council rep, you'll have quorum.
so we're giving them their powers, but we don't set a minimum. I mean, it's an elected position.
The minimum is the quorum.
yeah.
Right, a quorum, with 9, a quorum would be
Yeah, I thought I
fine.
was bringing up an issue, Phil, you or somebody.
No, the RSA says it has to have there's a low end and a high end of how many people can be on a budget committee. Because Al asked, is there a
Right,
thought
but
of
if
it?
we define it as 7 plus 2 appointed, let's say.
Yes, that's what we're saying.
And we only get 3 elected officials and 2 appointed as 5, the committee still ends up being the committee,
Yeah.
okay? And there's no minimum that says if you only had 2 elected and 2 appointed, the committee still operates. I'm
Well, they
just
probably would
bringing up
have to
that
get
issue
someone
that-
appointed to
Because
hit
one
a
of the
quorum.
concerns was we don't have enough people and enough ideas and thoughts in there, and, forget the fact that we're defining the powers as the RSA says today. I think that's what you dropped in, right, Chris, was basically what the RSA says, the Budget Committee.
Yeah, I'm just taking a quick peek at RSA Chapter 32 to see if I can get a quick answer to the question.
And I'm not trying to make an issue out of it, I'm just bringing up it, because that's what I thought Phil had. Say,
No,
could
I
it
was
be
only
too
answering
small?
I was only answering the question of like, what is the size, the RSA say the size?
I think the good juju bees are, hopefully this entices more people to join the budget committee. The bad juju bees are, if it doesn't, how do you get the budget developed? Should there be a minimum? And then you have to put a process in that says, if you don't reach the minimum, how do you do the budget? So I'm not voting for that, but I'm bringing up the issue, it just says.
So it's 3 to 12.
3, I thought it was.
Okay.
It's pretty broad. 3 to 12, yeah.
They can either be elected or appointed by the moderator.
We should just strike it, make tyranny of the moderator.
I'm in favor of that.
Of course, we're gonna have to get you a muscle shirt.
So we're going, are we saying 9, 7 elected and 2 appointed?
What's on the table?
Yeah.
Yes.
That would be.
So there's a whole section below that, NB : all highlighted. What is, does anyone remember what that was?
I believe that is, NB is nota bene, so it's not official. I believe this is, I'm trying to think if they actually quoted this out of 32.5. This is a cut and paste out of the statute. Hang on a second.
Part of it's, yeah, it says 32.5.
Even if we leave it in, we should explain what nota bene is.
Yeah, well, that's just, I think that there might be something that I added like after the fact. Because, again, me trying to make sense of the discussion and put it into a context.
Were we with this trying to reinforce the fact that it was the budget committee that was going to present at the deliberative session?
Yeah, we did
Well,
add
we
that
put that
language.
right there. It says the budget committee shall
So
present the
that-
budget at the deliberative session.
Right, and we
Okay.
added that into
Yep,
another
yep, yep.
section.
Yep, okay, so that's not what that is, okay.
I have a question about in the planning board section.
Where are you?
So it's still 11.1, it's just the first part, it's the first few lines.
Yeah.
Are we still, which one are we still on?
We're still on 11.1. So,
Planning board, back.
yep, oh yeah, I'm just backing up for a second, because I think that this is a relatively quick one. So, you know, it's the planning board, 6 members, et cetera, so 1, 2, 3, fourth line down. Then it says, the chair of the town council shall perform those duties assigned to the mayor under RSA.
There's some weird lines in that RSA,
Like,
about the mayor of the town. It's-
But what does that have to do with the planning board?
There's like some, didn't we look at that? We should maybe just ask the
Did we?
lawyer to look at it, like what exactly is the mayor asked to do?
Right.
Okay.
I was looking at that RSA.
Because it doesn't
was
reference
It was like
anything?
some
Yeah, it's
random
kind of-
thing that the mayor was doing.
It's kind of an
Okay.
odd way to reference duties.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it doesn't reference anything
No.
in particular, so I'm just curious.
Yeah, it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. It's like, what is this doing here?
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know.
Okay.
So that whole sentence in the middle?
Yeah, maybe just take it
Yeah.
out. 'Cause it doesn't-
Because currently, I don't believe the chair of the town council does anything relating to the planning board.
No.
Is it mayor a dirty word?
It is in my house.
I feel like we've crossed a line. I'm no longer comfortable.
Patrick, the timing on that was just sublime. Pause half a beat.
My heart
All right.
still hasn't caught. So,
So we're in agreement on the 9 members.
Yeah. You try it out, and in 10 years, if it doesn't work out, change it to 15.
And, you know, again, worst comes to worst, in 5 years, let's say, the town council can propose changes to the charter at any
Yep.
time, so.
You sure can.
In 5 years?
They
Oh,
could,
anytime.
in 2 years, or,
Anytime,
you
right,
know,
right.
yeah. So they have that power. All right. The rest of Conservation Commission made some changes there, capital improvement.
So to jump back into the
Okay,
budget
sorry.
committee thing?
Yep,
I believe, because there was so much discussion in the first dozen meetings of the budget committee, that I think this was me looking at these statutes and trying to summarize what the statutes actually say about what the budget committee's authority is. So we would have that information and discuss what, if anything, we wanted to do with it. That's why I wrote it down as nota bene. Just kind of, so we'd have a paragraph to look at to summarize these items.
Yeah.
Could we make a paragraph BA, or B1 and B2?
You can do whatever you want, Phil.
And have like your, well, not so what the group wants, but have B2 sort of be that more clear delineation of the duties of the budget committee?
Figure things out.
So you want to get rid of the words ND
Make that like a second paragraph.
and make that 2, starting there.
Yeah. What do people think?
Repeat your proposal.
That his nota bene,
Yeah.
which is my new favorite term,
Yeah.
is to make that like a second paragraph under budget committee.
Yeah, perfect. Then.
Ben, yeah, no, it's such a Ben, they know.
Well, you can do it as not beneficial too. So the suggestion is to move this as a separate paragraph
Yeah.
of it?
and just as a formatting issue, should we do, so it should be A, planning board, B, budget committee,
I think that's what it says in mine.
and then it goes down to
Budget
conservation
committee may be
commission
A and
being
B.
C.
Yep.
You know, it's,
Yeah, the formatting is messed up.
Okay.
No question the
It did,
formatting
it
is
did
messed
have
up.
that in the format.
oh, it did?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it's just like got accident.
I
Okay,
have to, yeah, this is, I took the PDF and I converted it to Word, and so it messed up all the formatting.
Okay.
I'm just going to have my assistant go in and clean up all the formatting.
okay.
Do you know what the optional powers for the Conservation Commission are?
I do not. I don't know if the Conservation Commission was granted the optional powers, so I don't know.
It would be in the ordinance created them, correct?
I don't know. I don't know when the Conservation was created or how.
Somewhere around 2000, or no, a little bit before that maybe? Does that sound right?
Conservation Commission's been around as long as I can remember, and I've been in
Okay,
town
so
since
longer than that,
95.
80s.
Ellen Snyder has been associated with the Conservation Commission as long as I've been in town, so she would probably know. Drew Kefever, I think, was also there in the beginning.
Yep. Rob Pearson.
Two primary optional powers, according to RSA 36A4A, out-of-town land purchase and contributions to qualified organizations.
Out-of-town land? Well, I don't think we had that because we had to go before the town council because twice we had a tiny little section
Yeah.
of sliver of land that fell in
Yeah,
Epping
that was
as
your-
part of a conservation project. And we weren't actually allowed to do it.
Well, it authorizes Conservation Commission to spend funds to acquire property interests or other rights in land located outside municipal boundaries. This requires the approval of the local governing body.
Yeah.
That suggests, well, we just got, there's an answer to the question, I just don't know what it is, I don't want to guess.
Well, that's how, that's what ended up happening. The town council approved it.
And so the budget, going back to the budget committee one more time, I'll kind of clean that up to put it in the correct language. Right now, it's just informational. It's not really.
CIP?
Okay?
Yeah,
So.
looks good.
Any of the others, D and E?
So the school board says it
Through
at
the
least
capital
annually.
Improvement?
Yeah, unless you,
No, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
and we vetted that against the changes we made in capital improvement before, and there's nothing contrary, right? Okay.
Right.
No, I didn't have an item to
Okay.
bring up, because I thought we just jumped to E, the new E.
I said D and E.
Other administrative is what we're,
yes.
So D, it just says town report deadlines out of there. I think at least annually, I think we were, what is the deadline for town reports, and we would add that,
Right,
yeah, to where it says February.
right, that's another note to Ben that I didn't.
Isn't it January 31st right now?
I think somewhere around there.
Sounds
Maybe a
right.
little bit earlier. Maybe.
I don't know.
That's what I recall being, right?
Yeah,
I just would have to print the thing. I don't know how long it takes.
right.
Well, then they usually have it available by town election time.
Yeah, on that.
So about 2 months.
E?
you say E?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had discussed and that we wanted to make it twice. Was one issue, 1, 2, and I think we can fix the wording, but twice, 1, to share goals and establish where they may be able to work together. And the second request would be to say, how did we perform? Just as we've done with some of the other committees here, and being able to say, establish goals and then assess what happens. The last piece was, it's not only inviting these two to get together, but we had discussions about whether the planning board or CIP or the budget committee be present, not that they're sitting at the table, but be present to, it's a public meeting, but to be present and say, hey, you're forgetting these planning board goals, or if somebody's asking a follow-up question, because they're the more intelligent and knowledgeable people. So that's some of the discussions we had. So if you want a simple one, I would put it annually to at least twice annually.
Yeah, that's where I'd start, is
Yeah.
with the twice annually. As you invite the other committees to this, it's going to become a lead a horse to water kind of situation. It's, in my mind anyway.
Yeah, well, I would say twice annually. If we got that far, I think the language is okay.
Yeah.
And then the thing I wrote in the bottom is invite planning board, CIP, and the budget committee to attend the session, something like that. If they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. But that at least gets the thought across.
I'm just struggling with how much it's, I mean, technically everyone who lives in the town is invited to attend the meeting.
If you say invite formally in here, it will probably be similar to what the invitation of the school board is, and they're all sitting together on the dais. Like, is the intention to bring everyone up on,
Dear God, no.
The intention of me bringing up in
Yeah.
the discussion was to be able to say, look, the first time we put it in, it was the Jets and the Sharks, and it was the dance scene, in West Side Story, where everybody was sitting in different seats and then turned around 1 second later and everybody was sitting on their, with their own committees. And I sort of looked at these 3 committees where we have in the document said the planning board interacts with the goals and the creation of their parts, and CIP has a more formal role in talking about capital contributions and priorities. And we're telling the budget committee they have more power. To me, these are the checks and balances. So if anybody, forget who attends the meeting open to the public, is gonna sort of, the budget committee has some power over both the school and the town, they're about the only thing. The planning board has influence, and CIP has a role in both of those. Those are sort of the check and balances that I imagine that says at least that could create a healthy conversation on how you did and what you're establishing. That's the reason I put it in.
Didn't we have a part, I'm trying to find it in here,
Yeah.
about the chairs of all those committees getting together once or twice a year? I can't,
Yeah, where was that?
where was that?
So I guess that's
That's exactly what we're talking about, is 4.11E.
4.11.
That's exactly what Russ has been talking about.
Well, we had the town council with.
Excuse me, 11.1E,
Okay.
11.1E.
Oh, there it is, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
No, but I
Oh,
thought there was
D,
a,
it's right above it.
oh, D.
Yep.
Okay, D is not, okay.
It's E.
Oh, I see it.
Look the one above it.
Yep.
I'm scrolling the whole thing up right on top.
But that is not all the committee people meeting together.
Yeah.
Right, it's the chairs.
Good start,
Yeah.
great start.
Yeah.
And I think if you have the chairs, it would be, one would be very missed if they didn't attend.
And it's going to be a much more focused discussion. I mean,
Yes.
this is a silly analogy and not fair to anybody, but when I think about putting all these committees in the same room, I start imagining the street brawl scene from Anchorman. Like, everybody is going to bring their own perspective, and it's like the planning board is, well, where's the plan? The budget committee, how much does it cost?
Yeah.
The Porcupine committee, quills people, we have to stick people with quills. It just doesn't feel harmonious the way I'm imagining it.
And the key to this is the agenda. Who's going to put it together?
Oh, boy.
Or is it just going to be, I've seen some of the meetings between the school board, and there's really no, and I don't know what the answer to that is.
Well, you can always make the agenda by the chairs of those three other committees to create the agenda for the town and
Yep.
the school.
Yep.
That's a simple way to do it.
I don't know, can we get into that?
So what you're going to get
I
is,
think that's
what you're going to get is that it's a town
crazy.
council meeting, and that responsibility for the agenda of the town council falls to the chair of the town council and the town manager.
Which is fine.
Now, it'd be great if it was a collaboratively built agenda between at least the school board chair, town council chair, and superintendent and town manager. But
But we can't.
it's been made very clear at past iterations of this, I'm not saying current, like that like, this is a town council meeting.
Should it,
Well, I don't know if the charter can do this, but if we're having two meetings, can one be called by the town council and one be called by the school board?
I don't think the charter
We
can
can't.
Yeah, the charter
Well,
can't
it
require the school board to do
dictate the
it.
school board.
but if you're saying on the agenda thing that you can put a line in here, something similar to the agenda for this town council and school board meeting will be agreed upon with these three committees? I don't know. If you want the interaction to take place and not be meaningless.
I think there are ways to make the interaction not meaningless without inviting that level of chaos. And I think it would be, we're all volunteers too. And so trying to corral all of those thoughts and ideas into an agenda, I think we're overreaching, honestly. And we're trying to put too much into the charter that really belongs, again, in the hands of the council and the hands of the community, right? Like, I think if the community came to a town council meeting and said, this is what we want, and we demand that you do it, and then the council said to the town manager, this is what we want, and we demand that you do it, then it would get done. We can put whatever we want in the charter, but unless those other groups are engaged, it's just not going to happen. I mean, it's been in the charter, right? Like,
So then what are you saying? Don't invite the three other groups to the...
oh, I don't think that we
with
should
the
invite.
chairs?
No, the chairs, the meeting of the chairs, for sure, but to have the chairs dictate, the planning board chair and the budget committee chair dictate the agenda for the joint school board town council meeting, which is what I heard. Maybe I'm wrong, but that was what I heard.
Well, somebody brought up agenda, and I think that sort of forces the issue. And if you then say, well, the town and the school can say, let's shake hands and say, we met. And do you throw in the chair of the planning board, the chair of the budget committee, and the chair of CIP to keep saying, are our issues being addressed? Whether you do it formally or informally, I'm sort of saying that's the check and balance portion. Getting the two people together is by invitation, you don't have to come. But if you want to say, let's give it a little more structure and tension for the good of the community to have input from the planning board, the budget, and the CIP as to whether they're doing the right things. And that's what the thinking was.
Any other thoughts?
What I hear Russ saying, and I think that if it was every member of every committee, that feels we 50 people up there, that feels overwhelming. That how do we ensure that the goal setting process, that the goals of the council and the school board and the planning board and the budget committee are at least known across all the entities, so that there's some coherence in like the major committee goals for the year, to be like, hey, like, are we all rowing in the same direction here? Or are we like pulling in 4 different directions? It's almost like a vetting of the goals amongst the chairs feels, it's like more of a, or at least an aligning, like, hey, here's what we're doing. Like, so everyone's aware of them, feels like a step in the right direction for me. There might be a little less than bringing everyone together.
Yeah, I thought we were just down to the chairs of the 3 committees. If you want me to withdraw the whole committee, that's not a problem whatsoever.
So what if we change the review of actions 1 and D to say the council will meet biannually with chairs to review like goals and or to discuss like goals and anticipated, something that gets closer to, because this right now is just activity work. What are you up to this year? I wonder if you make it more like goals and progress to goal over the year.
If I equate this to the corporate world, you've got to kind of make an event out of these things, where Al Zink wants to come to this meeting and listen to what's going on. He doesn't want to come to 6 meetings. He wants to come to 1 or 2 meetings. And I think we accomplished that with the presentations by the school board and the town. And I'm not sure how much more, but it's got to be an event. It's got to be, I'm going tonight. Tony, you going? Well,
Right.
of course I'm going.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to hear about what's going on so far this year with the town. What's it going to be doing? How are we doing on budgets? I mean,
But how do we put that into the charter? So again, I want to get back to how the
Right.
charter can make that happen.
That's a good
And so
point.
what language, because I'll go back again, like that responsibility, in my mind, falls on the bodies of, whether that's the school board or the council or the planning board to make that happen
Right.
and to push those agendas.
Isn't the charter's job to say, this is what we expect to happen? We don't have the power of enforcement. But I just came when we were talking about, we all felt strongly at one point in time that we should do more recognition for our volunteers. I'm not sure we put that in to this process. Al's point of being able to say, if I understood you, at least orchestrating the fact that these 5 groups are speaking about things that are happening, and those may be the 2 most important meetings of the year for people to come and see what these people are saying and ask questions from the audience. I wouldn't add on and make it a recognition thing, because then, but I think we miss recognition in here too, and so.
So what if it's,
Well, just to be clear, every single month, the town council representative reports on what happened at that, at that meeting, right?
Might not come back.
not adjourn this thing?
So it isn't like we're unaware of what's going on. This was more a case of where, to some extent it honored the chairman of these committees, that, we want to hear from you directly, it's a recognition.
So you think that's in here then?
So-
Well, this has been in here forever, as far as I know, and it's never been done. So this would, if we just implemented it, it would already be something.
so,
Yeah.
but I think the way it's written right now, paragraph D talks about what are you up to? Which is what the representatives of those major committees from the town council provide during those updates, right? Like, I am on the budget committee, here's what the budget committee's up to.
Yeah, this is more, the way I see it is, this is more a chance for town council to go to the chairman and say, what is it that you're not getting from us that we could give you? How could we, coordinate stuff we're doing to be more effective for you? Is there some resource you're looking for that we could provide? Or is there some miscommunication, is the way we're communicating, wrong? It's a way to, it's not specifically about the committee, at least as I see it, it's more about.
But that's not how D is written. I think it's written very much like, what are the actions you've taken, what projects are under discussion, and what do you have coming up in the next year?
Kind of a steady behavior.
So I wonder if D mirrors the language of E more closely, which is, and make it biannual and make E biannual. At least biannually, the town council will meet with the chairs of standing town committees to discuss annual goals and progress towards goals and identify opportunities towards collaboration.
Yeah, I think that'd be fine.
Because that makes it more of a, what are we doing together? How are we working together?
Yeah.
Not a, tell me what you've been up to this year.
Right, because we already know what they've been up to.
Yeah, it becomes like sort of like performative as opposed to actually moving things forward.
Right. I don't know if it needs to be biannual.
But the biannual gets to, if you wait a year to hear about how people are doing towards goals or what their goals are, 12 months of work's gone by and you're like, whoa, we are working in different directions here.
Yeah.
It's too late. Well, sorry.
Well, okay, just to be clear, the town council doesn't have goals for these committees.
No, but they probably have their own.
Right, but they could self-report on how they're doing against goals.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we are getting monthly reports from them
Of activity.
of activity, yeah.
I find activity goals marginally helpful.
Yeah.
Activity
Do you
reports.
have written goals for each specific written?
For the committees?
No,
No.
for the town council.
Well, we have, no.
Right. So this whole thing, as I mentioned earlier on, with the town council, the school board does. I've served on both. And The school board does an offsite, as I mentioned earlier. So if the town council doesn't have goals that you could articulate to the average citizen, this is what we're working on this year. And this whole goals and objective thing is kind of, in my opinion.
Is that possible with goals anymore?
Well, we have goals very, very broad stroke
Oh,
goals.
yeah. Well, as we always did.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to, all I'm trying to say is a goal-setting process, unless the goals of the town council are well-established, and everybody on the council knows what those 5, 6 goals are, then the whole rest of this is waterfall.
Well, and I think that's what E is trying to get to,
I agree.
inclusive with the school, is have one session that says, here's what we're doing, where we can work together, do that early in the fiscal year, and then have something later on in the fiscal year that says, how'd we do? So share with the community up front, here's some of the things we're thinking about doing, and then share.
And all I'm saying is mirroring that language in paragraph, what is it, E? That, for the other committees ones, like the meeting with the chairs, mirror the language of like, hey, let's share our goals, as opposed to updates on activity.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay.
That's what the
I think that gets to what, like, you would say, Russ, of like, we need to know what everyone's up to.
We need both a D and an E, you're saying.
No.
Yeah,
D-
school board
no.
doesn't go away, but we need like,
Yes.
No,
make
D
the
is with
language
the
from school
committees,
board.
right.
This actually makes
Yeah.
the other ones
And
simpler.
he's just saying the meetings with the committee should be more general, with the committee chairman should be more general. It shouldn't be goal-oriented.
Okay?
Do we have words that we want to put?
So
Is it just the same words?
I would propose borrowing the language from the school board one and say, and from the point of, to discuss annual goals and progress towards goals and identified opportunities for collaboration as what they're doing with the chairs of the committees. I mean, I think that what that does is says, twice a year, they're sitting down with committees, chairs, and school board and saying, here's our goals, here's how, what are your goals, are we aligned? And then halfway through the year or so, they're getting together and being like, hey, how are we doing towards these things? And then when they come back the next year, here's our new goals, here's how we did in the last ones.
I would go to that meeting.
That would be like, you would hear in one meeting, major
So would
things
I.
happening.
Yeah.
That's right, but is that D, which is now annually, or is it E, or is it both should?
I think it's keeping a separate, because they can actually be like, hey, chairs, come to this meeting as a town council. They can't say that to the school board. They can invite the school board.
Right.
So
No, D and E are totally separate.
they're separate. They have the same language, but
Well, but we're trying to get at the same point. In D, we can manage, and B is by invitation, but
yeah.
we want to mention planning board and CIP and whatever. Okay. Craft away.
Chris has it.
Okay.
I want to be entertained in the last, 1 to 3 years of my life.
I would too.
It would have, I feel like that meeting would have more information than the deliberative session.
Unquestionably. Deliberative session is.
Alan and I will be there. Right, Al?
What?
You and I will be there.
Popcorn.
We can.
What else?
Okay.
Where are we now?
That was it.
11-2?
Yeah, I think that's it, 11-2, 11-3, 11-4, which I think are pretty, okay. So we have one more meeting,
When are we meeting?
well, in theory.
The 20,
21st?
yes.
Yes, 21st. So we'll be back at Town Hall on the 21st, still at 6:30. Now, you said you'll have a draft report?
Yes.
Okay. And we'll review that.
I will try to draft
Review
it up
the
over the
rest of
weekend
it,
and get it out
or-
like 10 days. I'll try to do it over the weekend and get it out like 10 days in advance.
Okay.
But in theory, we should mostly just be reviewing things that have been edited again. Like if we edited them tonight and then, or agreed to it, shouldn't revisit
Make
them.
them
Oh, yeah,
blank,
no,
yeah.
there are just a few items, I think, that we need to
Just be a few
revisit.
items.
Should probably
Well,
be clear in
the
the next agenda.
21st
These
is
are
the time
paragraphs
we're going
looking
to
at.
see the final
Stipulate.
sort of draft and make any last-minute changes of words or whatever from what we agreed to tonight. And then the 21st, it becomes the document,
When is this due to the state?
the 30th.
The 30th.
They
Due
do
to-
want
due to the
avoid
state.
Halloween.
The state, the 30th. And our lawyer's going to look at it before we hand it to the state?
I think it goes to the lawyer on the 22nd.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. That was my question. Do we have enough time for
It'll
the
go to
lawyer?
Steve to go to the lawyer.
Should we be prepared to, based on what the lawyer says, have another meeting between the 21st and the 30th in case they come back and say, you said something illegal, you can't say that? I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, the
I think-
lawyer's going to come back with a red line, right? And then,
So that would be the 28th? the following
Or we
Tuesday?
meet
Should
before.
could we send it to the lawyer now?
Is it close enough?
I mean, we only have one or two.
I don't see why not.
We
Consider
should want to
whenever we
make it
want
onto
to.
the 14th.
So.
Well,
Get feedback.
we need
You-
to see
you
an
are-
updated
you're
draft,
after
right?
then.
To say it's
I've
the
done my
final.
write-up, I've been doing my write-up.
And we
Sit here.
will,
I
but to
agree,
get the
let's send
feedback
it.
from the lawyer.
Oh, you mean send it to him early once Chris
Send it to him now.
does this
Send it
draft?
now.
That says, this is what we're thinking, we may make a few more
Yeah,
changes.
this is a
but-
95% draft.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes
Okay.
sense. That way we get that, so
I
the
don't
next
mind
meeting.
getting a head
Big,
start.
we're
'Cause the-
attacking it next meeting.
The bigger questions for the lawyer need to be addressed. You know, there are a few items that were specific to,
Right,
being addressed by council.
and he'll come back with a written,
I feel better about them looking at it now, and then it's meeting
Yeah.
the 21st and having some time.
okay.
Yeah.
So are we on for the 30th or no?
Not for the
21st.
30th, because the
No,
30th
it would
is,
be the 28th,
you know,
wouldn't it? Would be.
I
Oh,
thought
right,
we
it would
said
be
the
the-
21st to the
The
30th.
21st is our next scheduled meeting,
Right,
right,
and then if we need it, the 28th.
The 28th.
the 28th.
yeah.
If we,
And both are at Town Hall, 6:30 in theory.
Well, we would need to book the 20, I haven't booked the 28th, but I would assume it would be at Town Hall. So I'll book it just in case.
Hopefully we'll be able to get through it on the 21st.
Like 10:21's the last.
Wow, this summer flew by, huh?
And then we need a recognition event.
Yes.
Charter.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris,
Yeah,
we've all worked really hard on this, but I think a special thanks goes to you for this.
Yes.
I missed like 3 or 4 meetings, so.
That's not the point. I mean,
Made
the
up
point
for
is
it, you're
you felt you held this document together, and I think that's,
You volunteered to be
It's a heavy
abused.
lift.
it's a heavy lift.
Yeah.
out of anyone.
Chris, look at it this way, you volunteered to be abused here versus
Yeah,
your
that's
role to be
great.
abused normally.
Usually people have to pay me to abuse me like this.
And then I do think that a presentation to the town council, how long do you, I can't remember what the time frame last time we did this. Once it goes to the state, do you remember how long?
Well, they have to
took
get
for
it back
them
to us in time to
feedback?
get things on the warrant, right? Because this is going on the warrant.
Usually January 31st, isn't it?
So warrant article time kicks in around the office in December.
Right.
That's when people really start buckling down and thinking about what's going to happen. And then the deadline is, I don't even know what the deadline is. Mid-January, I don't even know,
Something like
off
that.
the top of my head.
Yeah.
You just get a flurry of these things flying across the desk, starting in December.
How long does this stay a red line copy until it's either approved or not approved by the voters? So that the voters can end up seeing what was recommended to be changed by the committee? Or is it an all-black document that somebody's got to sit with?
I mean, I think there's a.
No, I think what you're gonna, well, it depends on how the warrant article is structured, right? So do you take each significant change and put it down as a separate warrant article? Or do you do it in one massive thing? I'm not sure. And that's part of what we need legal advice on.
But we'll at least
But
have a red
but the
line
report should give, is designed to give a high-level view of what's happening and what significant changes have been made and why. It's not going to be detail by detail. You know, if I make it 50 pages long, that's not much of a report. So it's going to be executive summary level stuff. It's going to be a couple pages.
On that same subject, we had talked periodically about a letter describing our discovery during this process. I'm not using the right term, but the fact that in many cases the charter has not been followed. Am I making this up?
We talked about
I think that would be-
things we discussed that that aren't in the charter, but that like we had discussion about that we recommend people consider.
Right. Is that viable or?
I'm not sure that's going to be well received, but, I mean, the discussion is certainly in the record, but putting it in the report or something like that would be, I'm not sure that's the impression we want to leave with people. I'm not sure it's politically sensible within the scope of what we're doing. Everybody's got opinions. The Charter Commission's job is to look at the charter. I mean, Scott probably has a very different view, because the council works very, very hard, and that's just a fact. And Tony knows that as well, and as does Phil, as do you, Al.
Well, I
That's
think
a
it would be a
fact.
good idea at some point to make a presentation to the town council
Yeah.
and the
Absolutely.
school board.
Yep.
That's the bully pulpit, right? That's what puts you out there where people are going to see it.
So you answered my question, it's just a different form. At some point, the Charter Commission will present to
Yeah.
the.
I mean, Al Zink is free to go to the town council and say whatever he wants in public forum.
Yeah, but I mean, as a commission,
Yeah.
I think I'd like us to, praise what.
be an agenda item at some future
Yeah,
town
and
council
it's not an
meeting.
opportunity to point out this, that, and the other thing, but it is an opportunity to say, we really recommend to the town council to take a good look at the charter periodically, maybe bring in legal counsel to go through it, because I learned a lot. I've been on the town council 3 times, and I learned some stuff.
I think we can make a statement to the effect that, citizens need to be vigilant. People need to pay attention. It's important.
Right.
And that's, we
And
can make
probably
a general
something-
statement about how important we think the concept of citizenship is. Some philosophical statement like that.
A nice, yeah.
And I think adding something about training for elected officials would be really important.
I mean, there are definitely themes that have come out, right? Training for elected officials, that the committees that seem to have advanced actual work tend to be the ones that are full, and the ones that seem to have not tend to be the ones where we're having challenges, and that there's, I think, some themes that certainly have come up that we can
Yeah.
highlight.
That's what it's going to be at the level of themes, thematic, not at the level of detail.
Yeah. We don't need to get into how the.
Now, is that something
tourist
you would
thing, what they
mention
do.
sharing with the town council or the school board?
Well,
As having a agenda item at some point that says overview or report of the
Yes.
charter committee to,
And I guess the question about, and this is why I asked about the timing and when we would expect to get things back from the state, is whether or not we can or should present to the council before we get that information back or after.
I mean, I feel like the council's the ones who have to put the warrants on, right? I feel like after we have the language so that it can go into warrant form seems to make more sense.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and guess that we're not going to have a problem with DRA because we're not really changing any of that.
Right.
And the rest of it, I'm not sure we would have a problem
And
with the
speaking
Attorney
of-
General. Probably not.
Okay.
I'm
and
guessing.
speaking of timing, okay, God, hoist it on your own petard. Should you end up having a school in town, consider having, if we vote in March, and this is going to be generally put together in January, going through muster, and somewhere between January and February, is that a good time to invite the school board to this meeting and maybe have the form of one of the agenda items to be the charter report, commission summary, or something like that?
I mean, good idea, but that's up to the town council to
Yeah.
decide.
I also think, what's the purpose of us going to these places? Is it talking to them? Is it talking to the people that watch them? Because I think different people might watch school board meetings sometimes that watch town council meetings. Like, is it, at what point are we marketing the warrant articles and support for the warrant articles more than like talking to those committees?
Personally, I would market this from the charter commission's point of view, and being able to say, make an announcement where there's going to be a agreed upon school board, town council joint meeting at this time to discuss Newmarket, and if one of the agenda items is an overview of the charter committee, they can make up whatever other agenda items we want, and we can push that perfect form we're talking about to get it out.
And I think that's a good opportunity for Todd and Steve to participate. If they're, I mean, I'm hoping that this meeting has generated some concept of working together. And I think if you say to them, we're done, how would you like us to present it?
Yeah, because I question, I don't know what, beyond what we've done, right, the review or suggested changes, do we have any kind of mandate to do anything beyond that, really? Like, I'm not questioning the intent of trying to bring people together, that's a good intent, but I just don't know that we have any kind of mandate to do that kind of work at all. That's been suggested of having meetings between groups. That's just not that's not what we're intended for, I don't think. It's to review the charter, put forward our suggestions, and the voters, town council reviews and it goes on the ballot, right? I mean, am I missing something or?
No.
I think we can serve, like, if there's questions, like we went to deliberative session and stuff, like members of us being there, if there's questions about, well, why did this get changed? Or why, it's like we're in a unique position to be like, here's the conversation that was had that led to that.
And I do think presenting that information to the town council, presenting our findings to the town council and the changes that we are proposing is important.
I think that makes sense.
It makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they're involved in this process.
Well, and I think we've characterized this by saying there's really not a lot of change, but there's been a lot of discovery of things that we wanted to highlight more or bring to the attention or define the process a little better. I don't think we've, dramatically changed anything that says we're a different form of government we're going into, but we're talking about.
But there was a conversation that led to 2 less budget committee members in the recommendation, and people should understand that. We didn't just arbitrarily go like, yeah, we should have 2 less.
I
Are you
would
ready?
entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
We ran the last quarter.
I thought we were going to stretch to 9 again. I'm like, it was 8:30. I'm like, oh, we're done. It's like, oh, we're going to keep going. We're not going to get out of here.